Hi, I will use four vulnerable web applications to exploit different types of web application vulnerabilities in lab for the demonstration of vulnerability exploitation. So here I will install four vulnerable web apps, that is XVWA, Extreme Vulnerable Web Application, the next DVWA, Damn Vulnerable Web Application, and third OWASP Juice Shop, and fourth one Python Flask Jinja 2. So first let me install DVWA. So let's install in webroot directory where's www.html directory. Okay. And then so git clone. So let's download that dvw from the git clone. https colon github.com/ethical okay hack 3r dvwa. So let's run here. It's a permission denied. So let's run in super user permission. Let's run this command with the super user permission. So cloning into dvw here. Yes, it's downloaded dvwa, right? Let's see here. So dvwa is posted and deployed it in that webroot directory of the Kali Linux. And we can see here all the configuration and the source code of the various vulnerabilities here and things and all, right? Okay, so what next? So once actually we downloaded, all right, once we cloned and downloaded dvwa software, then let's configure it to make it run. Dvwa config. Let's go here. Then let's run this command move config.php to config.inc.php. Right? Okay. So let's rename it to .php and then permission denied. Let's run with the sudo permission. Okay. Let's view that content of config.inc.php here. You can see here in this um, DV you can find DB configurations here and DB server IP address and DB database, DB user and DB password and DB port, things like that. So this is a DB server IP address where it is running, and this is the DB database DBWA and DB user DBWA and DB password. And if you want to change default passwords and usernames, and you can do so, and db port, and where db application is bind to this particular port. Okay, and then it is also referring to that mysql db. Okay, so if the mysql db is not there, so you need to install mysql db. And let's change the username and password, and then keep that server ip address as it is. Okay, so let it be okay, vim and config.php here, right? So let me change it to this, and I'll keep here maybe so I will configure it as um, root, and change the password to password. Okay, to make it to keep it in simple format, right? You can still continue to do that. Okay, so it's not letting it. Let's open it in sudo format and the super user, and then I'll change it to the username to dvwa. So maybe let's change it to the root, or we can change the password to password. Okay, I have modified the configuration and I made a changes to DB user and DB password. Then let's start um, web server. So once we have run a DB, okay, so we need to run a web start and we need to start web server. So sudo service apache, okay, start, right? Then once after make a changes to the config.inc.php file and let's start that web server. Then after starting web server, and you can also start you need to start that MySQL service here. Okay, then afterwards open dvwa lab in that browser, maybe and click that create and reset database, right? You can see here and you can run a database setup file and click on that create and reset database. And yeah, so once it is initialized, automatically it gets redirected to the username and password. So once it is redirected to login page, so you can try to log in using the default username and password, admin and password, right? Okay, excellent. So now it's we are able to log in into the DVWA application. It's a vulnerable application. So you can see here there are lots of vulnerability, features are supported here: brute force, command injection, CSRF, file inclusion, file upload, SQL injection, SQL injection blind, cross-site scripting, three types: DOM, reflected, stored, and says bypass JavaScript, right? So you can also change to the security level low and explore all the features and see what sort of vulnerabilities are supported, and then improve the security level by changing it to medium, and again go back to all these features and then try to exploit them and bypass those filter mechanisms. And because by increasing changing to the medium level, and there are certain filtrations and input validations are supported, and um, input validation and sanitization as part of the security level changes, and it's supported. So that's where actually you'll have to go back to these features and then try to exploit them by bypassing those input validations. Then further again it will increase that defense mechanism and input validation and sanitizations and filterings. So again you'll have to go back to these features and then see, and you can try to bypass those validations and defense and filtering mechanisms, and then still you'll be able to exploit those vulnerabilities, right? If nothing it just static pages are supported as part of impossible, like only the specific and static um, files are allowed to import and try to access it as part of impossible, and nothing else. So it's totally hardened those applications, and not even validations, and it's completely the files and access and uploads, everything is hardened, and so that only designated files and allowed to import and download and access it, so as part of impossible. So that's where it is. So but you can, by changing to low, medium, high, and then you can explore all the vulnerabilities and you can bypass those validations and then still explore that vulnerability and see how successful you will be, right? So this is a DVWA security, and it's a very good application. And then as part of my lab demonstration, and to explore all the vulnerabilities, I will also explore this apart from other vulnerable web application, then perform attacks and exploit them, and also suggest and provide you that defensive measures to prevent all these vulnerabilities. Okay, and so this is initial. I mean, I have shown that how to install and how to set up the DVWA software in Kali Linux, and you can also go to the here the GitHub, and you can find complete setup guide. And let me see that DVWA setup, right? Okay, let me go here so you can see here. Not this, sorry, actually. So and DVWA setup. Right? Okay, so you can also here you can go to GitHub. Okay, GitHub, this particular link, and you can see here it's nicely explained, and thanks to this team. And you can see here DAM vulnerable web applications, and it's a PHP MySQL web application that is DAM vulnerable. And also, and you can download, or you can the same command which I have run here, but of course it's a different path, but finally it points there, right? So installing videos, and you can see you can install it in Windows, you can install it in Linux. Okay, and also you need to set up and you need to modify the configurations as shown you in my setup config.inc.php. So you need to modify this configuration, so um, if you like to. Okay, and then other configurations, this is something like where hackable uploads, suppose as part of a file upload vulnerability, you need to make it writable. So you can for folder permissions you can change it here. And while setup or configurations, you can also modify these you know um, configurations, and to allow for remote filing inclusions and allow for SQL injections. So all this, so you can change. And finally, this is a default username and admin, and default password is password. Okay, so using this, I have logged in here. So and explore, we can explore this all the vulnerabilities, right? So there are certain troubleshooting guide also was given in case if at all come across. But anyway, so if at all you come across any issues while setting up DVWA, then I will always there to help you. Okay, and if you come across any issues, and please post me, and then I'm happy to help you there, right? Okay, you can say there are certain basic commands to validate whether your DB setup is fine, and then your DBWA is fine or not. So, okay. So you can also refer this particular guide and DBWA guide, and then which will guide you, and it's well explained, and it's a self-explanatory. Okay, all right. XVWA, DVWA we installed and posted it in web root directory. And let's go to the web root directory, and to install XVWA. So we are going to install another vulnerable web applications, that is extreme vulnerable web applications, right? XVWA. Okay, let's start that installation. Okay, let's install that XVWA, and XVWA. Okay, so we can download that XVWA software from the GitHub, and let's go here. I think so. Okay, so XVWA from this GitHub path we can download it here. This is a team who has contributed to this in XVWA. Its XVWA is a badly coded web application written in PHP and MySQL. So that helps to learn application security and exploit web application vulnerabilities here. So it's a this XVWA it's so extremely vulnerable. So this he always recommends that host this application in VM controlled environments, and so that it doesn't um, you know create any problem to the other VMs are OS, right? So better to always run it in the controlled environment that is in VM. Okay. So XVWA is designed as understand that these are the security issues like a SQL injection and OS command injection, XPath injection, PHP and so on. There are many more. Okay. So this is a link where you can use it and then see how you can install it here, right? So in order to install it, and let's go to here and we use this git clone and this particular path. Okay. So let's install this git clone and so you go to the path here and okay. So I have already installed here, so maybe you can use the git clone. Okay. And git clone I can install here. Okay, let's go here and go here and you can copy, right? You can directly install, right? This is the one. Okay. So once you run this command, okay, once you run this command, so you can go to here this folder and xvwa. Okay, so this is the folder it gets created here once after git clone, right? So come down to this again here for the instructions. So you can copy this folder in your web directory. So this is clearly states that copy this xvwa folder in your web directory. So xvwa I've installed it in the web root directory here. That web root directory is where slash www dot slash html, right? Okay, so here we can make sure that the directory name remains xvw itself and make necessary changes in the config.php for database connections, right? So let's go here. So I've done that some configurations and config.php. You can see here host is running as local host and the DB name xpwa user and the password is Kali and the 4 So these are the configuration I have made here to make a connection to the database, and then afterwards, and you can also um, uh, you can run and you can always you make some local changes and then you can configure it, right? You can make a changes to these configurations and then you can restart that Apache web server and MySQL, and then XVW can access it directly http colon localhost slash xvwa, right? Let's add. There is another way to install this xvwa, that is you can take this software, this particular path, and just run that xvwa dot slash xvwa setup dot sh, and it install automatically. And also you can just input certain configuration and then you can just restart the web server and MySQL. Okay, so this I have installed here. Let me restart that service MySQL start and sudo service um, Apache Apache to start. Okay. Okay, so I have configured here and I have restarted my services here, and then let me show you that okay, status, and it is up and running. Apache 2 is up and running, and let's verify MySQL as well, and then this also up and running, right? So let's go to the web browser and access Extreme XVWA, right? Just, XVWA, right? All right. So I am able to access to this XVWA, right? So you can explore all the features here and SQL blind and OS command injection, XPath injection, PHP object injection, and all kinds of XSS, all types of XSS vulnerabilities, and server-side request forgery and file inclusion and CSRF and server-side template injection, right? So these are all vulnerabilities and features you can explore, And as part of my lab demonstration, and I will try exploit all these vulnerabilities, and then I'll showcase you, right? So along with the DBWA and XBWA and two more vulnerable web application also, I will utilize them and to exploit certain web application vulnerabilities, right? So let's move on to the install and deploying that OWASP juice shop. Okay, let's install that OWASP juice shop. Okay, and we will go to the OWASP juice shop, and let's search for it. And you can download OWASP juice shop vulnerable web application from the GitHub. Let's go here and github.com/juice shop. Okay, so this is where actually um, vulnerable juice shop web application code hosted here. So we can download it using this GitHub link. You can see here. Okay, this is the link you can copy, and let's go through this. Okay, so this is a team has contributed, to this OWASP juice shop. It's a nice application, and where we can explore, and it's a most modern and sophisticated insecure web applications, and it can be used for any for the demonstration. Okay, so almost all the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities are found in this juice shop application. So here this is the one actually you can use for the setup, and from sources as I mentioned here, git clone juice shop, and which just I copied now. And also steps were given. First you need to install node.js, and then afterwards we can run this git clone link. And once after that, once it's cloned, and then we go to that particular directory, and then just run npm install and npm start, right? Okay, so these are the commands which we need to follow to install juice shop application, and where most modern and sophisticated vulnerabilities are hosted. So as part of my demonstrations and vulnerability exploitation, I will also use juice shop to exploit web application vulnerabilities. Okay, let's go to the directory where we need to install, and home Kali. So here, this one point is that we don't have to install this one in webroot directory. There is no such mandatory thing. So we can just come here, and then we can install, right? Okay. So like I make directory temp, right? Make here mk directory temp here, temp testing. Let's go to testing here, and then git clone. Okay, and that one, right? And this is the one. Okay, so here, and I've already installed here. Let me show here. And prior to that, you need to install that apt install and node.js. Okay, so this is the things which you need to do here. Okay, so once you can do this after this, either you can do before git clone juice shop, or otherwise you can do it even after git clone juice shop as well. Okay, so this is the one actually I have installed here. It's already upgraded. Okay, so now I will go to the juice shop, and so here, okay, I'm already in juice shop here. Okay, you can see here home college juice shop here. Okay, for your demonstration, and I've already created one testing folder, and then where I have downloaded here. But since I already have one copy, so let me go there. Then after sudo apt install node.js, okay, we can come to this directory node.js. Okay, then come to the directory and we can do npm install, right? So let me show you. Let me go back to again installation guide. So install node.js, which we did now, and run git clone, that also we did. Now we go to the cloned folder. Since already folder was there, and then just I go to the home Kali and juice shop. I'm here. Then afterwards npm install, npm start. Okay, so I'll do that in next two steps. Npm install. Okay, so npm, yeah, install. As a part of that, you can see here. So this is the installation completed. So npm installation is completed. Then afterwards we will just start npm start. Yeah, so I've started npm, and you can see here, and it's all dependencies satisfied, and then just started servers and server listening on port number 3000. Okay, so juice app application is listening on port number 3000. Okay, so let's go back to the again installation guide. So now we have run npm install, then afterwards we have run npm start. Now let's go to the browse, okay, this particular link, right? Okay, we'll go to here. Since it is running 3000, and then we'll go to local host and colon 3000, right? Excellent. So this is the OWASP juice shop, and you can see here OWASP juice shop, and there is a customer feedback complaint, and these are also, and so this is as good as that. It's like a juice shop, right? So let me go to the juice shop here. Okay, so now I can see here OWASP juice shop, and that's the main web page, and you can see here all products here. So it's as good as like a shopping cart, so where you can buy and you can check out, right? So these products. So this is like it's look like a real applications, and where you can try to exploit. So whereas in dvwa xvwa, it is like the vulnerabilities, right? It directly you can just input those payloads and exploit them. But whereas it comes to the WASP juice shop, it's like a look like a real applications, and where you can buy it. And for example, like it's a real application, right? Let's demonstrate one thing, right? So suppose a test dot at the rate demo dot come. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, and 1 2 3 4 5, and security question, and you can say this is how you create an account in actual scenario, in actual application, right? So test at the rate demo.com 1 2 3 4 5, right? So now I have logged in here. I have created here test at the rate demo.com. Then I'll see these are the products, and where you can add to the basket, and you can go to the basket here, and you can see here you can check out, right? You can check out, and you can add a new address, and you can so on, right? This is how actually you can so there are certain demos are there available, how to configure that OWASP juice shop. Then I am not going into that. Now let's come back to the, our main thing is that exploitation of the vulnerabilities, right? Well, so let's go to this here profile of this particular user profile, right? These are the fields were given to configure your user profile, right? So, so, so this is how actually real application. Then how do we exploit this real application, right? So let me exploit some, server side template injection. It's for the, demonstration purpose. You can see here. So this is, you know, okay. So let me show one expression, mathematical expression where I input. It is supposed to input our name, like say maybe I want to configure as a test, right? So this is how we set our test usernames and email IDs and upload picture, then some image URL linking. So you can even link that image to this profile from the external servers, or you can upload, or you can configure your email ID, you can configure a username. So things like that, right? So I can exploit these fields and see that any vulnerabilities are present, right? So let me input one mathematical expression here and to understand whether any vulnerability is present in this particular application or in this particular field, right? You can see here, excellent. See, I got the 49. It means this is a template injection, right? I just input one template here, and then I got evaluated result, right? I got a 49. It means that this particular username field is having then template injection vulnerability. That's I call it as a server side template injection vulnerability, because I input a one mathematical expression and then it is evaluating and giving me the result. And so this shows that there is a vulnerability present in this particular field, right? So this gives you the impression that okay, you are hacking, real applications. So this is how actually our hacking, or maybe you explore it for the bug bounting and ethical hacking, right? By fudging all the user inputs and fields and see that any vulnerability is present, and by tampering the parameters, and then you can exploit them, right? So this is what one speciality of this wasp juice shop. Okay, and the real vulnerability, almost all wasp top 10 vulnerabilities present in this. And you can also explore, download and install, and then explore this particular application for all the vulnerability, and be good hands on, and then familiarize with all the vulnerabilities, and then become proficient in it, right? Okay, so over DVWA and XVWA, and these are all like a straight forward vulnerable web application where you just input your parameters and exploit them. But whereas Vova's Juice Shop, it is like a real application hosted there. It's like a cart application, is a shopping cart application is hosted here in it, and then you can exploit, and you can look for the vulnerabilities in that particular application and then try to exploit them. Okay, so this is how actually you can explore this particular application. All right. So we have installed DVWA, XVWA, and OWASP Juice Shop application. Then let's install one more application, that is Python Flask Jinja 2 application. And this also vulnerable web application which I wanted to utilize for the server side template injection vulnerabilities, to exploit server side template injection vulnerabilities. So these are fourth applications. So these are the applications which I use it for my demonstration, to make you understand that vulnerabilities, and how they are occurring, how to detect them, how to exploit them, and what sort of defensive techniques we should implement it in order to prevent these vulnerabilities, right? So okay, let's go back to the fourth vulnerable software installation, that is Python Flask Jinja 2. Okay, so Flask setup with the Jinja 2 for Jinja 2. So it's a very simple one, and you can go to the um, web root directory, and here we can run a simple command, yeah, pip install -u and flask. That's it. Since I have already installed here, and this is the command which you need to run here, and then okay, so this one, and then once after that you can save it as a app.py, and you can see here this is a very simple application, and you can see here from flask import, importing flask request and render template string, and just returning render, and also in this object, and you can return render template string. Okay, so and then app.run. Okay, so here it is just whatever the command you input here, and it takes this as C as a parameter, uh, and pass that value, and when it is request dot arg dot get, and then it gets the value and get passed on to the render template string, and then get executed it. So as good as that, system commands you can pass here, C equal to system commands, and that particular commands will passed on to it, and then gets executed. Okay, so this is a vulnerable flask, flask running based on the Jinja 2, and which is based on Python. So Jinja 2 is the template, and anyway in my SSTI session I will explain about the templates and types of templates, and each language what kind of templates it is running. Okay, and so here, so my goal is here, and setup flask and with the Jinja 2, right? It's a mainly setup flask. Anyway, Jinja 2 is already built-in template in this, right? So run a just a flask applications. So once you do pip install -u flask, and then you get this, and then go to the it's a simple application, you don't have to do any changes here, and uh, just run flask run, just two commands, pip install -u, pip install -u flask, right? Then afterwards, and just flask run. Okay, just flask run, that's it. So it's running on HTTP port number 5000, right? So you can access to that particular command, and HTTP colon localhost, and colon 5000, and slash, and C equal to whatever system commands which you need to run, you can run it. Anyway, as a part of my SSTA demonstration, I will showcase you this application as well. I will exploit this application for the SSTA vulnerability, and showcase this. Okay, demonstration. Okay, so these are the few vulnerable applications which I have deployed, and of course, I mean, I will use. There are certain tools also in between, and that anyway, I think which you can download and install, and as a part of sessions, and I will explain that the tools usage, and you can also download on your own from the internet, and by going to the GitHubs, and then you can download and install it on your own. But primarily these are the four vulnerable web applications. I use it for the demonstration, and use them to exploit web application vulnerabilities. Okay, so yeah, with this vulnerable web application lab setup is complete.